Hello everyone, my name is Binks and welcome back to Let's Play The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, where we will be continuing in the 5th case of the game, The Resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I think it didn't say final before, so to me that really indicates that we are towards the end of the game. But somebody did leave a comment, which I appreciate. Thank you very much. I think you mentioned like there's like 3 or 4 hours left, and I'm like, holy shit. So, yeah. So about 3 or 4 episodes left. Okay, we'll see what I can do. Yeah, trial part 3, the Old Bailey. Jeez. They are really dragging this one. Oh, that's right. We were, questioning these two again. As the warder responsible for condemned convicts, I attended to Mr. Sogi and kept watch over his cell. Ouch! I just love that there's two people who do the pleh. And they're both very, like, mild-mannered people, except for when they get really worked up. And then over time, Ryunosuke has gotten more confident, so he doesn't tend to do the pleh anymore. I want to see you no longer do the pleh, Vigil. I want to see you be bold again and be okay. Because you deserve it, man. I feel so bad for you. The night after he was found guilty in court, he was doing something with that will in his cell. We turned the cell inside out looking for it after the execution, but to no avail. I only found out about the soggy papers when a directive came telling me to impound them. The document was in the folds of the fellow's robe that was left in his cell, a kimono I think it's called. Okay, let's press that actually, because I think that's the only thing that really sticks out to me right now. In Mr. Sogi's kimono. Aye, the one he'd brought with him when he was locked up. Yes, he was permitted to have his personal effects with him during his incarceration, I understand. That's right. He was granted as much freedom as possible during the few days before his execution. Indeed, he had a number of items of personal significance, I remember. He was very reluctant to part with them. Some books, that kimono, his sword. His sword? Yeah, yeah. That was my voice, but like, what the hell? Me and Ryunosuke both like, what? His sword? Karma. The famous sword of the Sogi clan. It bears the soul of my family. I don't doubt it, but I wasn't really getting at that. Forget it being the soul of the clan. Could the man have had a more obvious weapon? Yeah, I'm shocked. Have some respect, Ryunosuke. Respectful silence? The warders carry firearms at all times, and the inmates have shackles around their ankles. I mean, yeah, but still. That's really dangerous. I guess just because of their deal they made with him, they had confidence that he wouldn't try anything. He could not have hurt anybody with that thing. Still, he was allowed a sword, but no writing materials? Aye. Yeah, that's weird. He wrote that will before he came to stay with us at Berkeley, you see. Dr. Mikitoba was asked to bring the necessary Japanese writing implements to the prosecutor's office. A Suzuri inkstone, black sumi ink, and some hanshi rice paper, no doubt. Right, because they write in a different manner than we would. They wouldn't just use a quill, you know. It's almost like calligraphy. It's similar. I mean, I don't know. Is it called calligraphy? Technically, what they're doing, even though I know that they're writing, like their language when they write, it's either like hiragana or I can't remember the other term. Like there's specific names for their their alphabet and their writing and stuff. I just don't know if it's technically falls under like the umbrella as the whole style of writing with a brush called calligraphy. I think so. I've always been curious about that, but because I have no artistic talent whatsoever, like when I briefly was trying to learn Japanese, I struggled so much. Like reading and writing it is impossible for me because I just cannot draw for the life of me. And for me to memorize all those symbols and stuff, I'm like, that's so hard for me with my brain being so old now. I'm like, I'm too old. Like I can, I actually learned some Japanese just from hearing it. So, you know, you can repeat words and phrases that you hear and learn that way. So verbally I can learn Japanese, but like actually reading and writing it, I don't think I will ever be able to. And that makes me really sad. But yeah, I think that's calligraphy. But I'm not sure. I was present when he wrote it. But I'm sorry to say, the letters just look like a squirming mass of jet black earthworms to me. Alright, so... Are you mad that he was being rude? What's going on?
Excuse me!
Are you feeling faint, Mr. Vigil? Why do you always react this way? It really worries me, dude. Mr. Vigil! Sir! It was Scarlet, sir. What? What was Scarlet? What? Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean to blurt it out like that. Okay, he seems confused. Oh, you poor man. Less swaying and more explaining would be helpful. Is it something about the testimony we just heard? Have you recalled something of importance? Something of importance? Possibly. Or possibly not. I'm unable to tell which way he's leaning, I'm afraid. My lord, the defense asked that Mr. Vigil be permitted to supplement his testimony with this possibly or possibly not important detail. Permission granted. Go ahead, Mr. Vigil. Yes, it was scarlet. You mean the color of the ink? Yeah, because he mentioned it being black writing, and it looked black before when we were looking at it. Was it written in blood? How did he get blood? I mean, maybe he used his own blood then. Because he didn't have the materials, right? They said they took away all his stuff. Damn. So then, where is it? Because like we know it's there's like a page missing or something. As I remember it, the document was written in scarlet ink, but perhaps I'm mistaken. Yeah.
Hold it!
Scarlet, you say? Well, yes. I mean, I only caught sight of it for a brief moment, of course. But even by the dim light in the cell, I remember thinking that it was an unusual color. At the very least, I'm quite sure it wasn't black. Mm-hmm. You're worried now. Witness. Is that really what you saw? What? Sir! Is something wrong, Lord Strongheart? Mm-hmm. I apologize. Continue. What do you make of that, Mr. Naruhodo? He's shitting bricks up there. He's worried. Somebody look over there. Is there a bunch of bricks piled up? For Lord Strongheart to be so visibly shaken in that way.
Oh, do not ever. You can plainly see the writing here, and it's as black as the Earl of Hell's great waistcoat.
Well, yes, you're right. Mr. Vigil, I'd like to confirm one point with you. Did you actually see the content of the document that Mr. Asogi was holding that night? Oh, well, no. I mean, there was no time. As soon as he noticed me there, he hid it behind his back. But it was definitely a will, was it? Yes, it was. That's what Mr. Asogi told me.
The court need waste no further time on this matter. We have the will in question in our possession. There is nothing more to add.
No. A will written in scarlet ink. What did Mr. Vigil really see Kazuma's father holding, I wonder? If you have an inkling, Mr. Naruhodo, you must present it to the court at once. Okay. The testimony doesn't give much away. So this will really was penned by Kazuma-sama's father. I wonder what he could possibly have meant when he described it as a weapon. It's starting to sound very much like Mr. Asogi actually had nothing. But the plan to break him out of jail went ahead, which means he must have had some bargaining power. He must have been hiding something. It's the only explanation that makes sense. It's starting to sound like Mr. Asogi actually might have had something. Which is it, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm not sure, but I feel as though I'm on the brink of understanding all this. Let's listen to all the information again and see what more we can learn. We can't overlook even the smallest detail. Absolutely. Okay. The scarlet has to be that, but scarlet ink. Do we have anything scarlet ink? This is the Asogi papers. What's this? Evacuation drill. Telegram. No. About the ring? He didn't have the ring anymore, right? Oh, because they found it as evidence. Is there anything else from the old... I need to look through all the old evidence. Nothing... Nothing about Gregson. No. This is all Gregson stuff. Ugh, I wish I could organize it and remember... Okay, this is the vigil... Karma. Wait. Recent scarlet ink stains visible on the little and ring fingers of the right hand, but no document and corresponding ink was found. Holy moly. So, wait. So it wasn't Asogi writing it. Okay. I thought he was using his blood. So that document was written by Clint? little and ring fingers of the right hand. No Okay, so that would explain why it would be a weapon. Clint wrote something before he died, and that is the paper that Genshin Asogi was using as a bargaining chip then. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Okay, this is it. This is it. I'm excited now. Okay. Let's do it.
Objection.
What does this mean? What, there must have been some kind of, evidence or, something, accusation in there against, Strongheart, right? Scarlet-colored writing is what you said you thought you saw, Mr. Vigil. And I believe that's exactly what you did see. What?
However, again, you've no evidence to say that.
Have a look at this report.
That's my brother's autopsy report.
Yes, and there's something in here that's bothered me since I first read it. I totally forgot about that. Such a small detail, and it's been a while. It states that scarlet-colored ink stains were noted on the fingers of the victim's right hand.
Yes, so it does. Scarlet ink.
Now, I'm not familiar with the habits of the British aristocracy, I freely admit. But I would hazard a guess that they don't all go around with ink stains on their fingertips, do they?
Your wit is not appreciated. My brother was a well-bred and fastidious man. Should ink have sullied his fingertips, he would have cleaned them immediately.
Which means it was right before he died.
What is your point, Counsel?
My point is this. Whatever Lord Clint Van Zeeks was writing in that unusually colored ink, it must have been directly before his death. Because he died before he had the opportunity to clean his hand.
What?
Yep.
I remember something troubled me at the time. At the scene, the lid of my brother's ink well was open.
Yeah.
But Clint was punctilious about such things. It seemed unusual.
Because the ink would dry up. So of course you have to make sure it's closed, because you don't want to waste.
And no document penned in the color of the ink that was in the ink well was ever found.
So the document had disappeared. Are you suggesting that the document my father had in his hand that night in his cell was the same document that Lord Clint Van Zeeks was writing moments before his death?
Then it was.
If Mr. Vigil's testimony is to be believed, it can only mean that yes. Mr. Vigil! Sir! When you spotted Mr. Asogi with the document in his cell, his precise words were as follows, were they not?
Alright then, but what's in that paper? The last will and testament.
Not my last will. A last will and testament. Holy snap! Okay. I did kind of say it before, but this feels like the final nail in the coffin. I think they had a fight. And I don't know exactly why yet, but it looks like he knew he was gonna die. He, as in Clint Van Zeeks, looks like he wrote his last will and testament. And that's what that was. And it also is serving as some kind of weapon that Genshin used to bargain, right? To negotiate, to try to get himself out of this situation. And I think that they had a fight and he killed Genshin that night. And I feel like he feels bad about it. That's why he didn't really fight all of this. Because they were friends, right? We didn't hear enough about their relationship yet. I don't know in detail anything to really speculate further than that. But I think that's why Barack has been so angry is because he's like, oh, Genshin was our friend or whatever, right? But maybe I feel maybe they were forced into it somehow. They were tricked or manipulated or forced into it by Strongheart. That's really what I'm feeling. And so they had some kind of duel. Maybe they thought each other was bad. Like they each thought the other was bad, and so they had a final duel, and they had both kind of been like prepared, like, okay, one of us is gonna be dead and the other one's gonna have to deal with the fallout, you know? But man, did this go bad. This went really, really bad. Oh gosh, because of Strongheart. I feel sad. I feel super, super sad now. Just mentally thinking so much could be avoided if people would just communicate effectively and have better trust in each other. But then when it gets twisted by someone who's so sneaky and manipulative behind the scenes, it's hard, you know? Ugh, Strongheart, you piece of garbage. So, last will and testament. The only weapon he has left, yep. A last will and testament. Ugh. If the conversation really did go as Mr. Vigil says, then what we now know completely changes the meaning of what Mr. Asogi said.
You really think?
Mr. Vigil did indeed see the convict with a will, but it wasn't that of Genshin Asogi. It was the last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zeeks.
No. What?
Objection!
Ooh, he is really upset about this.
This is madness. My brother's last will and testament. That would mean that he had chosen to die.
That is what it would mean, yes.
No. Impossible. That is utterly out of the question.
It's not like he's committed suicide. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe it wasn't a duel. Maybe he did say, kill me because we're being blackmailed or forced into it. I don't know. That would make it even sadder, though. Maybe he kind of had to sacrifice himself. Oh god, that would be so horrible. No! That's super sad. And Genshin had to be the one to do it, though? Lord Van Zeeks.
Clint was pursuing the professor. Consumed him day and night. Whatever happened, he would never have abandoned his investigation before its conclusion. Never. He wouldn't rest until the job was done. Until the killer was caught.
Unless the killer caught him first and forced him into the situation. I don't know. I'm just confused, like, is Strongheart the professor and the Reaper? That's what I'm lost on. I know for sure he's the Reaper, but I'm still like, who is the professor? We know it can't be Genshin. I mean, it feels that's what we're leading towards, right? Damn, bro.
The idea that he would willingly accept his own death, it's obscene.
Objection!
I mean, there is another idea I have in the back of my mind, but I don't have enough proof of it, and I really don't want it to be true, so I'm not gonna say it out loud. And I'm like, I hope this is not true. But I mean, it makes sense, right? Is Strongheart both the Professor and the Reaper? Like, dual identities going on. Well, triple identity, I guess.
And yet we can be sure that he was writing his will moments before his death.
And that Genshin Asogi came to be in possession of that document. So what could the will possibly have contained?
clearly something that couldn't be made public under any circumstances whatsoever. Because armed with that document, my father was able to negotiate with the judiciary for his life. It was something so damning that it prompted the powers that be to enact that daring jailbreak plot.
Yeah.
Yes, there can be no question that the will contained information of the utmost secrecy.
Information of the utmost secrecy.
No, it couldn't be.
Okay, so we've realized it now?
I've heard more than enough.
You're worried because we're really closing in on you.
Pursuing this notion of a phantom will nobody can attest to having seen serves absolutely no purpose.
Objection!
No, my lord, that's unacceptable. What did you say, counsel? The last will and testament that Genshin Isogi had in his possession was that of Lord Clint Van Zeeks. All the testimony and evidence presented to the court has logically led us to that as a possibility. We have a duty to pursue the line of reasoning to its conclusion. But with no possible means of knowing the contents of the document, there is no line of reasoning to pursue.
A reason why Lord Clint Van Zeeks, a man of high noble standing, would have chosen death. Information so secret. Oh! I don't know. I'm hoping I'm wrong, like, the second thought in the back of my head, but it's possible. Information so secret, people in the judiciary would be willing to negotiate the jailbreak of a condemned killer. The only explanation that fits those facts is an unthinkable truth that turns absolutely everything on its head. But it's just too hideous. Mr. Naruhodo? However difficult the situation might become, you work with your client in pursuit of the truth. That's what you resolved to do when you entered the courtroom this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Sato. So hold your head high and keep soldiering on. Yes, you're right. 10 years ago, in his final moments, Lord Clint Van Zeeks left behind a will. A will that Genshin Isogi was able to use as a weapon to negotiate his escape from prison. Okay, I'm gonna say it now then. My second thought that I kind of was hoping is not true, but I'm starting to really think is true, is that the other thing, the possibility here, which does make sense. God, I don't know. It doesn't not tie it up as neatly in a bow as the other explanation, having just one real big bad. I mean, if you know you're about to die, or you're willing to die right there and then, it's because you've done something, and you're just willing to pay the price for it, right? Like, that's someone who's at the end of their rope if you're just willing to give in right there and then. And if it's something that bad that the judiciary is trying to cover up because it's someone of high status, then Clint Van Zeeks is that person. I mean, him and Strongheart both fit the same mold here. So that's why at first I was really hoping it might be, you know, just that Strongheart is both the Reaper and the Professor. But the cruel irony here would be if Clint Van Zeeks, who's supposed to be, you know, the prosecutor, looking for the professor, but is actually the professor himself, right? That would be sad. And maybe Genshin found out, and that's why he's like, he confronted him. He said, I figured out that you're the villain, you're the bad guy. And upon being confronted, he finally gave in. He was like, okay, I'll confess, I'll write my will, and you kill me. That's really horrible. And then Genshin would be willing to negotiate because of that, right? Because if he was his friend, then he probably also would want to protect his reputation and protect Barak's feelings as well by keeping it quiet. So he's willing to take the blame, which is terrible, because he's pretty much willing to take the blame of being called the professor and being marked as this horrible killer, and then being seemingly executed and then released. You know, having that prison break and all of that. Like, dude, that is like so far and beyond the duty of like a best friend. Like, dude, that's like too much. So I can see that being the more probable cause, you know, thing here. And very tragic and very horrible. But I still would prefer if Strongheart is still the big bad who was the professor. And this is like some kind of misunderstanding, and I don't know, man. I know I have to proceed, but I'm really getting worked up over here because I don't like it. Like, it's a great storyline, and it's juicy and very angsty and traumatic, but it's also making me very upset because I don't like how tragic, and I feel bad for the people involved. So I don't like it, and like I'm emotionally like, ugh. But this is very Ace Attorney, okay? This reminds me of freaking Investigations 2, which also causes a lot of feelings. Alright. A will that Genshin Asugi was able to use as a weapon to negotiate his escape from prison. In all probability, the details in the will were related to the professor case.
The defense's last statement is mere conjecture.
I don't know. I mean, he's still acting like he's trying to cover this stuff up a lot. So I just... I don't know. Why can't you be both? Can't you be both? Can't you be the real bad guy here? I mean, you are, but can't you be the bad guy in everything? And have Clint Van Zieks not be the bad guy? Because that makes it too sad.
What are you getting at, man?
Oh, just look at Barak. Dude, that man looks like he's about to pass out. And Kazuma, oh my god. These poor men, they've already had quite a rough go of it. They're both going to be so, like, messed up at the end of this. They already are, but, like, damn.
Ryunosuke?
I ship OT3 even more than before now. But, like, more than anything, they need therapy. And Ryunosuke's just their cute little, like, cuddle comfort pillow that they both, like, at the end of the day after therapy, they go and they, like, hold on to him. Like, another day of having to talk about our feelings of this horrible tragedy of what happened to our father and brother. You know, and they just need to hold on to Ryunosuke. He's like, there, I'm here for both of you. I have two hands. It's okay. And not even in the, like, the sexual way, just, like, seriously, they just need to hold on to him and have him patting their heads, and, like, seriously, that's all I want for them at the end of this. Cute little OT3 living together, all nice and happy and cozy and therapy, and that's all I want for you guys. I bless this union. I bless you. You need it. Oh, I feel sad. As soon as these words come out of my mouth, there's no going back. Yeah, that's why I've been dragging this shit out. I'm sorry. I believe that the last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zieks was, in fact... Oh, no! I don't know! Both are there. Both possibilities are right in front of me. I don't know which one's... It could be an accusation against Strongheart, like I want it to be. But I feel like if it was an accusation, I don't think... I don't know. Like... But if the whole, like, more than just Strongheart saw it, right? If it was just Strongheart, then I'd be like, oh, then he would have killed him and, like, silenced him, blah, blah, blah. Which he did, but... They make it sound like other people were involved and probably saw it. They keep saying the judiciary. So that's what makes me feel like it can't be an accusation against Strongheart, because if they had seen that, I like to think they would have done something about it and not let him continue to be in power, right? So it has to be a confession. It has to. Oh, that hurts. I'm kind of tempted to save here in case I'm wrong, but you know what? If I'm wrong, I'll take the penalty happily, because at least that would mean that Clint Van Zieks is not bad. Oh, I hope I'm wrong. Confession? No! The music stopped! Oh no! It's true! I'm sorry, Barack. I'm so sorry. This is gonna be so painful for you, bro. You can do this, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you, Susato. You are my comfort friend right now. My comfort friend slash kind of gonna be sister-in-law if he was to marry, if he was to get married to Asogi. Oh, this hurts. I believe that what Lord Clint Van Zieks actually penned that day was a confession. A confession? Regarding the mass murderer known as the Professor, and his true identity.
Objection!
Oof. Oh god. His heart. Oh no. I don't think he can take this.
Enough, Council. What are you saying? Do you even realize? A confession about the true identity of the Professor. That would mean...
Lord Van Zieks, I appreciate this must be hard to take in, but it's the only explanation that fits. The killer that terrorized London a decade ago and became known as the Professor. The man believed to have murdered 5 members of the aristocracy wasn't Genshin Asogi at all.
No, you can't be suggesting...
It was in fact the man believed to have been the 5th victim. Lord Clint Van Zieks himself.
Oof.
No! Oh god. Oh god. Oh, see? Strongheart knew. He knew. Oof. But right now, he's just thinking to himself, as long as they're not pointing the finger at me anymore, I'm good. Oh shit. Oh shit.
It's finally open, is it? Pandora's box.
The great Van Zieks family, they've been thoroughbreds of the British judiciary for years.
And Lord Clint Van Zieks, he was a paragon of justice in the capital.
But he was actually a mass murderer, a perpetrator of atrocities of the vilest nature.
If the general public ever found out, law and order in this country would be finished, something like that. My brother.
Oh, this is too awful. Poor Lord Van Zieks.
I wonder, though, did he never suspect?
Yeah, he's too smart not to have at least had a little inkling in the back of his mind. Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Barak Van Zeeks is a brilliant prosecutor. Is it conceivable that he didn't realize what his older brother really was?
Order, order, order in court.
Lord Van Zeeks. Oof, he's gonna be so angry at us for a while. This has to come out, buddy. This is the truth. And it's not fair to Genshin. You said you cared for him. He saved your life. Don't continue to dishonor his memory like this, man. The professor made use of an enormous hound as his murder weapon, which I don't know if I really commented on that, but the fact that they took Hound of the Baskervilles, had the professor as a main character, but also not, you know, like as a main villain from the past. And it's not Professor Moriarty, but the fact that there's a professor, and then we had a hound. It's really cool. I just love the way that they have taken elements of Sherlock Holmes stories, even if it's not going to be 100% faithful. But it shouldn't be, because this is not a Sherlock Holmes game. And we're not playing as Sherlock, even though he is a pivotal character. So, even though at times I'm like, about the way he's characterized or certain things, overall, I'm happy with it. If it's a good homage to him. And, I don't know. I think the biggest shock still is the whole Watson not really being Watson, you know, it actually being Mikotoba, but Mikotoba looking so much like the traditional older version of Watson, and the way that they interact together. And I feel like the way that Sherlock has been acting ever since he got his partner back, I feel like I didn't really get into detail, but because we're coming close to the end, that's why I'm taking these breaks to talk more. I like to see them together as partners, and I feel like Sherlock has come back to life more. Like, he was around, he helped us, he was a comedic, like, side thing sometimes. And I did like his partnership with Ryunosuke, but it always got kind of downplayed, or it got interrupted a lot because we had Susato or Iris around. So it wasn't exactly a true partnership the way that he is with his Watson, which is Mikotoba. But he looks so much happier now. They did a really great job helping us this time. They were like super pivotal with all of this last section of the game. And he feels more Sherlock to me now than he did before, especially like in the first game. He didn't even feel as Sherlock to me then as he does now. So I'm like, aw, he just needed his partner. So that's really great. It's a shame because I don't think it's going to be a long lasting, because I'm sure Mikotoba, you know, he said he's planning on going back to Japan. But it's nice. It's still very nice to see that. But I just feel so horrible for Barak right now. This is rough. And then for Kazuma, of course, to hear about his father being sacrificed. His father was like a sacrificial lamb in all of this, you know? Even if a lot of it he was willing, it's still horrible. Tell me, did your brother own a dog?
Yes, he did. Balmung. He was a well-known hunting dog. People called him a giant.
And what happened to this dog? Haven't heard nothing about him until now. I mean, that's shady as hell. You should have suspected that automatically.
I don't believe this. When my brother would go hunting in the forest of the grounds behind the house, he always took Balmung. After Clint's death, the creature passed away too. Almost as if he were following his master. He was a magnificent hunting dog, worthy of the jewel-studded collar around his neck.
But he was also used as a weapon, which is terrible, by the way. Clint, what the frick? Even if you were killing, like, corrupt aristocracy, you were still a murderer, and you were using your dog instead of doing it with your own hands, you freaking jerk. How dare you use a dog like that? That pisses me off, actually. So I feel a little less bad for Clint himself in this second that I'm thinking about it, because I'm like, don't use a dog like that. No, that's not cool. I love animals. I love dogs, you know, so that makes me mad. A jewel-studded collar.
That's right. Though sadly, some years ago now, it was stolen by a thief who broke into the house one night.
A jewel-studded collar stolen by a thief. It so happens that myself and my colleagues have come across such a collar during our time in London.
How could you?
There was an old emblem attached to the collar too, made of pure gold. Yep. The B for Balmung then. It was topped with a small crown and bore an ornate capital letter B.
What? An emblem bearing the initial B.
Oh my, you know it?
It's the insignia of the Baskerville family.
Oh, okay, so it was B for Baskerville then. I thought it was for Balmung. What? The Baskerville? Why is that name coming up now?
Baskerville is the family name of my late brother's widow.
Okay, we never talked about he had a widow.
That pure gold emblem was an heirloom which Clint acquired upon their marriage. There can be no doubt then, the color you've described was Balmung's.
The family insignia of Lord Clint Van Zeek's widow. I didn't know he was married, y'all. Damn, what happened? So, is she still around? There was a considerable amount of blood on the collar when we saw it. Since we know the dog was used for hunting, it could have been from its quarry, of course.
But it could equally have been from human prey.
Yep.
So is it true then? Clint Van Zeeks really was the professor? Impossible! These Japanese are making it all up to exonerate their own!
So in fact, the person responsible for these murders of nobles and royals was a noble himself. And that threatened to be an enormous scandal that would irrevocably destabilize British society.
My father knew that, and was using it to negotiate his way out of the unjust charges brought against him. But at the very last hour, those he'd bargained with betrayed him, slaying him mercilessly on foreign soil.
Yep. Well, can you deny it, Lord Strongheart?
10 years have passed, and still now the 6 million inhabitants of our great capital rest easy, believing that justice was done. That though his anonymity remains, the diabolical...
If you were gonna cover up his face and not reveal his name, why did you bother with the scapegoat at all? When you could have just had it be Clint himself. I know he was already dead, but like, you know what I mean? I guess it's because he was dead, so they felt like they still needed to have the illusion of justice being done, of like he's saying, of the murderer being caught and executed to put the people's mind at ease. But that's really terrible. Like, their mind would be at ease just saying, hey, the killer's dead. He's dead. You don't have to release his name, but he's dead. I don't know. I guess I feel like they just wanted to show that they were powerful. We caught him. We did it. Yeah, you can trust in us. That makes me sick, though. Ugh.
Very well then. You may have the truth.
Oh, how nice of you. How gracious.
Tell me then. Tell me what Clint really was. Lord Clint von Zieks was too pure of heart.
Oh, really? He was, but he was also a murderer, so, what?
Then he became a prosecutor and went in pursuit of the black roots of crime. He drove himself into a corner. He came to the uncomfortable realization that to fight the most fiendish of criminals requires one to become even more fiendish oneself.
And that's why you're the Reaper. These disgusting people.
Clint. The 19th century was a truly miraculous 100 years for Great Britain, and indeed the whole world. New industry, new technology, and with the birth of the Metropolitan Police Service, new law and order. But these dazzling new developments meant even deeper shadows were cast on society. Water sullied by factories, air thick with noxious fumes and crime, growing daily to fill the darkness. Lord Clint von Zieks made it his mission to combat that darkness. But as time went on, it slowly ate at his soul, until eventually he was consumed. It's ironic, really, and somewhat surprising, that the truth has once again been unearthed by a Japanese.
Yeah.
Once again? What do you mean? 10 years ago, your father, Genshin Asogi, turned up at my office one night. The professor?
I keep forgetting the voice I do for Genshin, just because I have so many voices already, and to try to distinguish him is really hard.
Yes, beyond all shadow of doubt. You must issue a warrant to search his home at once. Don't be absurd. The man comes from one of our country's most illustrious families. He's a paragon of justice here in the capital. Yes, that's the point. That's why none of you British can see it. He's using his noble status as a diversion whilst he commits these atrocious crimes behind the scenes. Do you have evidence? Nothing definitive as yet. But he keeps an enormous savage hound on the estate. We need the full support of the judiciary for this. We're up against a member of the aristocracy. So, a large family estate has a fierce guard dog. You should know that's commonplace here in Britain. I'm sorry, but I can't possibly put Scotland Yard onto this based on the tenuous accusation of a visiting student.
Damn you, Strongheart.
So I turned down Asogi's plea, and as a result he took it upon himself to visit the Van Zieks mansion on his own. You can only imagine now what happened between the two men. Though we know the outcome, of course, Lord Clint von Zieks perished. I don't believe this.
So, in actual fact, Kazuma-sama's father did. He made the late Lord Van Zeeks meet the same fate. He put a permanent end to the professor killings by taking the drastic measure of ending the perpetrator's life.
As soon as I heard, I hurried to the mansion. When I arrived, it was easy to grasp what had happened.
And what about the will?
Asugi must have already taken it. Nothing of that nature was found at the scene. We had no idea of the existence of such a document at that time.
So, what now? We have to finish the whole Reaper thing to prove it's him.
I was the only person who knew of the true identity of the professor. So, I resolved to keep it a secret, and to guard the secret to the bitter end.
So you're admitting to it, that you were behind it all? It was you, then, who pinned the crimes on my father.
I did what needed to be done in order to protect the law and order of the British Empire.
You shady mofo.
Even if that meant employing an unforgivable ruse.
Then it was you who arranged this fabricated evidence.
I ordered that detective to take care of it, whilst keeping the truth from him, naturally.
Gregson. So Gregson really didn't know. He was just following orders. That's still, like, following orders blindly and doing all these bad things. It's like, come on, man.
Obviously, he opposed me at first. Are you off your rocker? We can't do something like that. There's no question that it was Asugi who murdered Lord Van Zeeks. Now, staff had made statements that they saw the man running from the mansion that night. Yes, well, I've no doubt that he was that Japanese fella. But we haven't got a shred of conclusive evidence against the man. And worse than that, he doesn't keep a dog. So we're short of a murder weapon to boot. And we're short on time, Gregson. We must put a stop to this man's rampage, for the good of the country.
Oh, you a-hole using the country like that to guilt him.
So we'll use whatever means necessary. Do I make myself clear, detective? Blimey.
Damn.
So that night, 10 years ago, when I was attacked by those thugs in the back streets, and Genshin's ring was taken, that was him, was it? That was Gregson and some hired help.
Then the detective handed the stolen ring to Dr. Wilson, who feigned its discovery from the victim's stomach during that autopsy. In the light of that decisive evidence, Mr. Asogi was found guilty of the charges brought against him. However, behind the scenes, he had actually already struck a deal with his accusers, in which he agreed to silently accept the charges. But I just don't believe that part. As far as I knew the man, my father despised such underhand dealings.
It was extremely easy to make him comply. You see, he had one crippling weakness.
What weakness?
Isn't it obvious? You, Kazuma Asogi.
Damn, using his son? He's in another country, but... Me?
Perhaps you have no desire to return to your homeland, Asogi.
What?
Though I hear you have a 14-year-old son. Agree to cooperate and accept your guilt without contention, and you will see Japan and your son again. You scoundrel! Whether you choose wisely or not, It will be a closed trial by order of Her Majesty. So whatever rash claims you might make in court will have no trouble in stifling them. There's only one outcome for you, Asogi. The gallows. Don't forget that I still have a weapon at my disposal. A document revealing a truth that I know you're desperate to keep hidden. Yes, it hadn't escaped my mind, which is the only reason I'm willing to bargain with you. I only want to protect this country's law and order, you understand. So, what's it to be, Asogi? Kazuma.
Oh, that's so sad.
He did it for me. And as I told him at the time, my motive was simply to protect Britain from the damage the truth would do. To protect this country's law and order at any cost.
Well, his evil smirk is disgusting. So, let's leave this episode right here. I think we still got a ways to go, according to you guys. But damn, yeah, we still gotta prove that he's the Reaper and take him down. But we resolved the whole professor thing finally, and it's horrible and sad and tragic, and I'm heartbroken. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, have a nice day. Bye bye.